Tomikus just gets so upset at the orange color that he's like, nope, I'm leaving until you like fix that. All right, guys, welcome back. Game number 2 in the first best of 3 currently underway. Some debate what colors, I guess. Doesn't really like orange, but it's all right. He's not playing it. In the bottom right, he's down 1 in the series. It's gonna be the Green Terran from AT Gaming, uThermal.
In the top left, as the orange Zerg, it's Tomikus.
So again, I want to just kind of emphasize, it's really hard to be too critical or anything like that of uThermal's performance in the TVZ, because we know this is his Achilles heel, so to speak. That being said, I know for a fact that when he played in the Yord Invitational, and I was a little disappointed about this, to be honest with you, he had mentioned to me just like the day of playing, by the way, I haven't practiced in the last 2 weeks, I'm kind of taking it easy. And that's fine, that's good for the health of mentality and the sanity of players, but it definitely reflected in his quick 0-2-0-2 matches for that particular instance. I'm hoping and assuming at this point, it's been a couple of weeks since then, he's had time to practice, he's had time to get sort of back in shape and not, I don't know, not slack off. Because again, the DSCL is not a small tournament, it's got a pretty decent prize pool. Remember, this stuff got crowdfunded and community raised, not to mention he was last year's winner, so there's some pretty decent expectations out of him.
Yeah. I didn't remember that part, so I would think that that was just a 2-week break, like that was it, or maybe even a month.
I would hope so. I mean...
Yeah. So, it's just that last game is still not the greatest, what's the word I'm looking for? Judge of uThermal's TVZ skill, because it's always going to be not good, because he just has a mental block against it. But there being like 5 and then or 2, like how good are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
I don't know if I'd say always though. I mean, he's shown us some really sick games. He's shown us games where there's just been like the best focus fire on banelings, the craziest micro. I don't know if it's really fair to say like he won't show he'll never show us anything good, but it is a little bit harder than normal, I guess.
The times that happened, though, I really did feel like it was just the Zerg player not capitalizing on his weaknesses, right? And then, like, because I remember those games, and I remember saying things like, you know, if it was like a Soulkey, I don't know why that name popped up, but if it was Soulkey playing, then he would have done X or Y, and would have been fine. Like, there was a lack of mutas, because he doesn't go Widow Mines, which could have been really abusive in the main base and whatnot, so that's why, like... it just seems like he doesn't understand TVZ, but he has the skills that if he ever did understand, like, the ebb and flow, he would be, like, really high tier in the matchup. Just that he doesn't... His skills are there, his mechanics are there, but he just doesn't quite, like, oh, do I go Widow Mines, do I go Hellbats? I'm not confident in either one type of deal. So sometimes, yeah, he does show really great games, and sometimes he is just, you know, he falters in the mid and late game as the mutas come into effect. But we didn't get to see that last game. So hopefully we'll get to see it here and see if he got any better against it. Because it really seems to be that mid and late games, I recall, that starts to trip him up. Kind of like Bunny's games, you know, in the middle of that best of 69, where he was having a lot of trouble versus those mutas. You know, he would do great drops and whatnot, and then he would kind of falter for about like 10 or 15 games until he figured it out. I
like that. Just like, goes like a song, a rhythm out of it.
It's like when the you know the singers, the voice actors do the whole thing before they start. You know, they go like da 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 blah 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 da 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 da, and then they say like exactly.
Meow 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 meow. It's a bird.
Oh, no.
Zombie Group, don't you know about the word? Okay, so for uThermal's sake this game, I mean, again, we're being really critical of him here, and it's entirely, I will say, 100% unfair of us to do it. It's just, again, we've seen the highs and the lows, so we have such great expectations out of him, and we'd love to see more, but, yeah, I guess fairness goes to me, because we haven't really talked about his choices last game, you know. He was well prepared for that Hellbat push. Lots of Queens is something I love seeing out of Zerg players, and the counterattack was just relentless, to say the least.
Yeah. Again, if it was the plan, it worked out great. If it was the reaction, it was a perfect reaction. I mean, that really was the best thing it could have done at that point. And the only way uThermal could have survived is if he, you know, had a bunker at the third and some of the banelings busted that first. And, of course, you know, bunkers in the main, of course, probably would have helped out too. But he just really had nothing to deal with it. So, like, props to Tomikus for just, you know, being able to do that and realize that was going to be the ticket to win the first game. But we have another Hellbat push on the way, but the difference is this is the 3cc. This is the 2cc. So if it fails completely, then yeah, he's in definite trouble. If it kills like 5 queens and he falls with the Cloaked Banshee, then that's kind of what you want anyways, as the cloak does start now. Well, Baneliness is not going to be finished, but if you can spread out your queens a little bit, if you get a Spine Crawler, that would help too. Target down the medevac. I mean, really, Tomikus was so prepared for that last one, I think just because it was a later one, so it was like you were already getting some units anyways. This one, you really would still be droning, and you would have to have gotten a safety Baneley Nest, not like a well-timed one, to be totally prepared. And while the medevac does get killed, there's still, like, all the ground units are still left over.
I'd say that's a fairly big pickoff on the medevac, though. It's a rather important part of the push, but even so, as we see, Marines still have just a lot of raw damage through themselves. Lings coming out, just they're going to struggle to deal with the Hellbats. You send them in waves of like 4 to 8 at a time, and they'll eventually chip them down. Banelings, there we go, finally coming in, are obviously the best way to deal with it. But the big thing is, if uThermal removes the queens from the equation and doesn't kill the drones, the Banshee comes and finishes the job afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. And in desperate situations like this, it's very possible that in any, like, if he was calm about it, he would remember to put on Spore Crawlers. But since he's frantically trying to prepare against this, and he's already taking so much damage, he's gonna forget. This is his first scene to GG.
Yeah, as the Banshee arrives, it makes it fairly obvious what exactly is going on there. But cool.